Today we are tourists in Helena, Montana. So we're going to see what there is to see in the capital city of Montana.
Yes.
When we visited Glacier National Park, we said, hey, since we're going to be in the state anyways, let's see some more things. So last episode, we talked about some time we spent in a place called Deer Lodge. And from there, we would hop in the car, drive 1 hour east, and ended up in the town of Helena, which once upon a time was actually called St. Helena. Today, just Helena.
Helena is the state capital of Montana. It happens to be the 6th largest city in Montana. So we did a few things there.
And so one of the things that was interesting about the city of Helena is that there actually were quite a few things to select from. So where do you start? So our recommendation is to get a ride on the Last Chance Trolley Tour. So if you don't know anything about Helena, if you've never been there before, this is a great way to get acclimated to what's in the city, to get a sense of what's where.
We got tickets for the Last Chance tours. They're going to take us for an hour ride of Helena, Montana, leaving at 11 a.m. and they told us this thing is going to be filled, so we're early birds to get our choice.
In the back, because I didn't want to be near the exhaust coming from the motor to the front.
Yeah.
So I wanted the back.
All right, here we go. All aboard on 3. Channel the energy. 1, 2, 3. All aboard! And away we go.
These tours leave just outside of the Montana Historical Society Museum, which is located next to the Capitol building. It'll only take you an hour, but you ride in this covered trolley contraption. There's several cars hitched together. The tour is narrated, and the thing that I liked about this is because I didn't know anything about Helena, is we found ourselves taking this ride, and there was several things pointed out to us that you and I then said, hey, that's something we're going to go check out later. So it was a way to adjust our itinerary for the short time that we had there.
But it was also a great way to see those things that were fascinating to me, like some of those old historical homes. You know, you got to see the outside of them, which was kind of cool because they were beautiful, beautiful homes.
Yeah, and we got the story on several residences who lived there, you know, some of the notable people in Montana history that were behind the building of those homes. I recall him saying it was the wealthiest city in America for a while. So into the museum, Montana Historical Society Museum.
Thoroughly enjoyed this museum. We started in the main lobby where they had some artwork displayed right in the main lobby, and some of it was just so fascinating and it was beautiful, and some of them told stories of Montana. So it was a nice start to just kind of walk through this main lobby. You'll find rooms with artwork in it. We had entered into multiple rooms that had different kinds of artwork displayed. They do have a bottom floor that has the Ice Age exhibit, and that would include Montana's geological history and other things throughout the whole span of this continent, really. I mean, it kind of includes all that. They have a Native American cultural section. There's archaeological exhibits, and they have information on Lewis and Clark, which was of interest to me. The exhibits then continue with the cowboy culture, mining in the area, the railroads, the ranch life of Montana, which is expansive and huge, and there's much, much more. One of the things we enjoyed the most, I think, was the Mackey Gallery, which had the Charles Russell art. And it has many exhibits that are dedicated to the works of Charles Russell, which is one of Montana's preeminent artists. He's all over. I mean, you just can't miss this name in Montana. He has paintings, he has sculptures, so he's a very, very well-known artist. And his life story is really interesting, too. So we spent quite a number of hours there. We figured that depending on you and how you like to view museums, you could be there for an hour, but you could spend as much as 3 hours there.
Yep. So when you're done with the museum, a short walk across the street you'll end up at the Montana State Capitol. We were there, so we thought, hey, we'd go in. Plus, we heard about one particular thing inside that we wanted to go see. So there's been numerous state capitals that we visited on our travels. And so since we were here, we took a chance to kind of walk the corridors of the building. So we wandered around the various floors, saw what there was to see, but the main thing we wanted to see that we heard about was we wanted to get to the House of Representatives chamber, where we heard that the largest mural that ever was painted by Charles Russell is hanging. Somebody shows up to open the doors of the House of Representatives chamber, and we were allowed... She just
walked out. She worked there, and she walked out, and she just said, do you want to go in?
Yep.
We're like, yes.
Of course. So she opened the door, we went in, and a few things. So one is we did get to see the mural, and that was very impressive. There was something pointed out to us in the painting.
And I'll tell you one thing about that Charlie Russell painting up there. See the wolf that's down in front? So the folklore is that Charlie Russell was quite a character. I'm sure that's true. And he supposedly didn't like the Speaker of the House back in 1911 or 1903 or whenever this happened. And he painted that wolf so that when the Speaker stood there, it would be snarling over the Speaker's shoulder.
And it was also just impressive to see the House chamber itself. So if you're planning to go to the Capitol, I would check in advance to find out if you're going to be able to get into the House chamber, because that's probably the most interesting room that you're going to visit at the Capitol. There was also a display of paintings in the lobby just outside the chamber. So when we looked at those, there was some information we came across that explained each of the paintings. So that kind of helped us understand what we were looking at. So we would recommend getting that aid. The other thing we heard about on the tour, on the trolley tour, is they said that when you're on the upper floor of the state capitol, if you look through the window, I think it's looking north, you would get a view of this mountain, and the way the mountain is shaped, it's called the Nose of the Sleeping Giant Mountain. I think the mountain's actual name is Bear Mountain, but it kind of looks like a giant is sleeping on this mountain. We did see it.
Yeah, you could see it. It looks like a giant that's on its back sleeping.
Yeah, so be sure you look out the window and look for the sleeping giant. And then I also learned one little factoid about the Montana State Capitol, which is that at the time of its construction, it was the first capitol in the United States to be wired for electricity. So we recommend considering the Capitol on your itinerary when you're in Helena.
Another place we visited was the Cathedral of St. Helena. For us, churches are always of interest to us, particularly the Catholic churches. So we kind of make an effort to see, especially cathedrals that are in the area. And it was stunning. It was so beautiful. And on our tour, I remember on our little trolley tour, the narrator really played up the church and says, I mean, if you can, go see these stained glass windows. He's very, very impressed with the stained glass windows. And it was beautiful on the outside, but it was absolutely stunning on the inside. You can't miss this architectural wonder. It's in the heart of the city, and it has these spires that extend up in the sky, I believe 230 feet above the street level. And it's modeled after the famous votive church of the Sacred Heart in Vienna, Austria. As I mentioned, there's this stained glass that you can see from the outside, but if you really want to view the stained glass, go to the inside when the sun is shining through. It is stunning. It is gorgeous. It was made in Europe with various panels depicting the Bible scenes. There are 59 windows, and they're all handcrafted in Bavaria, and then they were shipped to Montana. Also inside, there are high vaulted ceilings and hand-carved pews. It's a really nice place to just come and spend some time. It's quiet. There is an organ, which always interests you in particular. We were wandering around and we were looking and enjoying the church, and I saw I don't know who he was, I don't know if he was a deacon, but he was preparing the altar for something, and he walked by me and I asked him about the organ. And he just immediately started giving me a little bit of history on the organ, and he brought me up on the altar to the organ. And at that point, I'm trying to get your eye, and you finally see me, and I'm like, get over here, get over here, get over here. And so you came up, and I did mention to this gentleman that you were an organist. Next thing I know, this man is saying, hey, I was given permission if somebody's an organist that they can play the organ.
That never happens.
Shocking. You were like, yes, please.
Yeah, especially at a church like that with an organ like that.
Yeah.
To be able to get an invitation to sit on the organ bench and take it for a ride is a very unusual circumstance.
And you have no music in front of you, so you just were kind of pulling from your memory.
Oh, I just made it up on the spot. Almost every organ that's in a church is different, so you never know like which buttons are where, which stops are where. So there's this quick, you have to get acclimated to. It almost looks like if I wasn't an organ player, the way I look at an airplane, like a 747 cockpit, there's all these buttons all over the place. It just looks like how on earth can anybody know like where everything is? But since this is one of the things that I do, it's common territory for me. But back to this thing, I got the invitation, so I sat down, and just out of the air, there's a hymn tune called Veni Creator Spiritus that just started to come out of my fingers, and then I improvised around that. And if you haven't had the chance to hear a pipe organ in this kind of a setting where you've just got the air rushing through these massive pipes, and that air is circulating in this massive building and it's reverberating across everything, it's the kind of sound that listening to an organ recorded on a compact disc or what have you, it just doesn't do it justice. It's a different experience. And to be able to play an instrument like that, it was a phenomenal instrument.
Yeah. And I you gave me the camera and said film it. And of course I was going to do that anyway. I wanted to go and away from the pipes and go to the front of the church actually. As I'm pulling back and I'm trying to hear this sound and knowing that it was coming from your fingers and you were playing it, there was this emotional response from me, and I stopped and I just wanted to take it in. You finished. Your response was just, you were like a kid in a candy shop. Mm-hmm. It was wonderful. The whole thing was just wonderful.
We would end up at a place called Last Chance Gulch, which is one of the places we heard about on the trolley tour. And this is an area that back in 1864, there was 4 miners who had not had success mining, and they ended up giving one last chance to find their fortune in this area, and they staked their claim. They named the place Last Chance Gulch, and it turned out that they were able to actually find a significant amount of gold in the area. And to their great fortune, Last Chance Gulch would eventually become the second largest placer gold deposit in the whole state of Montana. And it turns out that their last chance turned out to be an incredible winner. It ended up supplying more than $19 million in gold over 4 short years. And that's $19 million in 1860s money. Today, Last Chance Gulch is an area that carries its name, but it's really a street of stores. So if you like to window shop, it's an area where you can do that, or you can actually go into some stores and buy stuff. We probably spend most of our time when we walk down the street just reading the historic placards that were on some of the outside of the buildings. So we got a taste of that history walking down the street. It's only a couple of blocks, I think 2-3 blocks, something like that, yeah.
We sauntered up to Reader's Alley later that evening, and it was interesting. It was a very short uphill walk that had cobblestone in the streets. So it was an interesting little walk. There's lots of placards, so we took our time walking up and we read the placards of the historical sites on this street, and to understand a little bit of what the history in this location was like. So if you have some time and you want to take a walk up this Reader's Alley, it was very interesting. I enjoyed it. I liked that old-time feel to it. It had working stores in it, so there's shops and things you can. I even had a barber shop. So it was still a working place. There was still businesses that were there, but it still had that incredible historic feeling to it. So that was fun. I enjoyed that too.
Yeah. And we ended up in the town of Helena getting a bed and breakfast, and this was the Carolina bed and breakfast. So this was located in the historic district and right across the street from the governor's mansion. Just a really wonderful B&B, kind of that Victorian style, very old style, probably late 1800s construction perhaps. Very clean room. The decor throughout this place was very, how would you describe it?
Eclectic.
Eclectic, yes.
It was trying to stay in more of an antique type of theme.
Yeah, so outside there were several patio areas where you could spend time sitting and just enjoying the outside. There was a covered kind of fireplace area outside.
Yeah.
Inside, the downstairs, there was this main gathering room where breakfast is served in the morning, some other places to sit. And in our room, we had a large, comfortable king-size bed, chairs, desk. The room was finely decorated. A very nice sized bathroom with a shower. It's a Victorian home that's listed on the National Register of Historic Places. The host, and I don't remember her name, but she was very friendly. We had several conversations with her. And we probably spent most of our time with her at breakfast in the morning.
Right, yeah.
And would recommend the Carolina Bed and Breakfast if you're looking for a place to spend a few nights in Helena.
We had a dinner at Benny's Bistro, which was recommended by our host of the bed and breakfast. And it was one of the best dinners that we had in Montana.
Yeah, I think the best. So again, we had like a day and a half in Helena. I think, we were able to do quite a bit in the time that we were there. That's our experience in Helena. My top tip, again, is if you go there, start with the trolley tour. It's a great way to get acclimated to the city. And if you want some more things to do after a trip to Glacier National Park, visiting Helena could be one of the things that you add to an extended Montana itinerary. Thanks for watching this video. We hope you've seen some things that'll help you plan your future travel adventures.
And if you like this video, please hit the subscribe button and like us. And if you have any comments, we'd love to hear from you.
And until next time, keep on traveling, and we hope to see you at the places where we go.